Hello Miners and welcome back. I have a confession to make today. I have never played a Final Fantasy game. Until now, because Final Fantasy has come to Magic the Gathering, and there has been quite a bit of hype around this set. Some preliminary numbers show this is already the best selling set of all time, even taking down the Lord of the Rings set. So I had to see what all this hype was about, and during spoiler season, there was one card in particular that really stood out to me, and that is Tifa Lockhart. And I've seen a lot of people hype this card up in the Cradle Control, Sidecat Cub style landfall decks. But me being the degenerate that I am, the first thing I thought of when I saw this card is Infect. That's right, Tifa is a Phyrexian, and I will die on that hill. She is a awesome addition to the Infect deck. So why is that? Well, let's look at what Tifa is. She's a 2 mana 1/2 with trample and landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, double Tifa Lockhart's power until the end of turn. So I'm looking at this as okay, this is going to be a big one shot to your opponent that works really well with super cheap, overpowered pump spells, which is exactly what Infect is doing, anyways. So, what is the theory with this? We play a Tifa, the next turn we cast Scale Up to make Tifa's power and toughness 6/4. You then play a fetch land. The power doubles to 12. You crack the fetch land. Another land enters the battlefield from the fetch land. You double her power again to 24, which is a one-shot kill on your opponent. Add in the fact that she has built-in trample, and you're not going to run into the problem with a lot of these other big high-power vanilla beaters where they don't have the evasion. So your opponent's not going to be able to chump block, and you've got 4 extra damage to be able to trample over if your opponent has 1 or 2 small blockers. You're still going to kill them. So how am I going to fit this into the Infect deck? Because traditionally, Infect, you don't care about your opponent's life total. You're trying to kill them with poison counters, but Tifa doesn't have Infect, so you're trying to kill with regular damage. So it's kind of a nombo with the deck, but because of how large Tifa can get so quickly, the 20 damage you're dealing with Tifa is basically as easy to hit as 10 damage with one of your infectors. So I decided I'm going to throw Tifa into an Infect deck as a secondary win con and see if I can go over the top with both Infect damage and with regular damage. So I had to make a few changes to a traditional Infect deck, and because the deck is so tight in terms of slots, I did have to get rid of one of the infectors, which the worst of them all is Glistener Elf. It's a 1/1 for 1 with no evasion, so it's kind of the worst option, and on top of it, it dies to literally everything. The nice part about Tifa is that she has 2 toughness, so she doesn't die to Bowmasters and stuff like that. So she's a little bit more resilient, and the fact that she has trample means she has built-in evasion. So I ended up getting rid of Glistener Elf and putting Tifa in instead. I also had to make a swap. Normally, these decks have been running in Biggin lately because all of the original Infectors got an errata where they added the Phyrexian creature type to them, which made Embiggen basically the same thing as a scale up in those decks. But since Tifa only has 2 creature types, she doesn't get the same kind of buff as Embiggen, so I needed something that would always give her at least +4/+4. So I decided to move to scale up instead. It is a downgrade in the sense that it's a sorcery, but it works better with Tifa than Embiggen did, so I decided to make that swap out. Other than that, the only other real change I made from a traditional Infect deck here is I decided to throw in crop rotations because of the fact that Tifa wants the landfall ability. It's another way to get multiple lands to enter the battlefield on the same turn. Whether you play a land, then crop rot that land away for another one, or you can crop rot one of your existing lands away for a fetch land to ensure that you hit 2 land drops in the same turn to trigger landfall twice. So it was just a little change that I made here. It also gives a little bit of resiliency for Inkmoth Nexus and additional ways to find it. So I thought it was a pretty good inclusion in the deck. Some past Infect decks have run crop rotation anyway, so it's not that big of a stretch to be able to just slot it in to synergize with Tifa and be another way to be able to get more Inkmoth Nexuses. Other than that, it's your typical Infect deck. Simic mana base, 1 Hedge Maze, 1 basic, your 4 Inkmoth Nexuses, 1 Pendelhaven. I was kind of iffy on that, but because it works so well with both Blighted Agent and Inkmoth Nexus, I decided to keep it despite the fact that it doesn't work with Tifa, and a bunch of fetch land. You've got your typical Ponder, Brainstorm, Cantrip, Sweet, your Dazes and Force of Wills for protection, Blighted Agent as your other threat, Noble Hierarchs for the Exalted, mana fixing, mana ramp, all that good stuff. And then 3 Legolas's Quick Reflexes to be able to protect your threats. So, pretty straightforward Infect deck, other than the swap out of one of the pump spells and then Glistener Elf for Tifa. So, Tifa's going to be an honorary Phyrexian today. In the sideboard, it's a pretty standard Infect sideboard. You've got Flusterstorm for combo and control decks to be able to fight through counter spells, and additional Legolas's Quick Reflexes for some additional protection. Veil of Summer for counter wars to protect yourself from discard, to protect your threats from stuff like Fatal Push and Molten Collapse. Sylvan Library for a little bit more card selection and card advantage in long grindy matchups. Endurance for all the graveyard decks that are running around, like Oops All Spells, the various Dimir tempo decks that rely on the graveyard for reanimation or for Murktide Regents, Force of Vigor for artifact and enchantment based decks, and then Great Sable Stag is a little bit of a old but new addition into the deck. The big thing with this is that it can't be countered. It has protection from blue and from black, and with Dimir and blue-based tempo decks being such a huge part of the format, it prevents it from being able to be bounced or killed with most of their removal spells. It forces it through so that it can't be countered, and it allows you to have additional threats and pivot more onto a traditional beatdown route if we think that's how we have to go. So let's see if Tifa lives up to the hype, does what I think she will in this style deck, and if I can be justified in my stance that Tifa truly is a Phyrexian despite her creature types. Additionally, because I've never played any Final Fantasy games, in the comments below, I've been thinking about trying one, but there's so many. Let me know what you think the best Final Fantasy game is for someone who's never played the series before and where I should start out, so that I have a good place to start trying out the series for the first time now, way late in 2025. But anyways, let's take this through the meta, see how it does. I'll catch you all in the wrap-up. Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Alright, round 1. Not a bad hand to start, so I think we're going to go ahead and keep this one. I'm thinking probably start out with Pendelhaven into Inkmoth into Tifa. We got Underground Sea from the opponent. I'd like a tropical island so that we can use this daze if we need to. However, I want to hold on to this Verdant Catacombs to be able to trigger Tifa twice when we do play her. So I think we're going to go ahead and start off with Pendelhaven here, go a little bit slower, hope that we hit another fetch land or just a tropical island off the top to be able to protect our Tifa. Or if we hit like a Force of Will, that wouldn't be bad either. Alright, sorry about that. Just adjusting the mirror here. Brainstorm from the opponent, okay. Or adjusting the camera. I just got back from vacation. We had a friend of ours house sitting in the house while we were gone, and she was using my computer, so everything got changed. So I'm slowly getting it all back to normal. Vacation was fun as hell, for those who are wondering. I went down to Key West to celebrate my 10-year wedding anniversary with my wife. It was hot as hell, but it was fun. And I finally got to swim with wild sharks, which has always been a dream of mine. I've swam with sharks in captivity tons of times, but this was my first time being able to do it in the wild, and I was super, super thrilled about that. Another Underground Sea from the opponent. Into a Ponder, okay. Like I said, I would like to see a Force of Will or another blue mana source so we can protect Tifa. Otherwise, I'm thinking we're going to just play Inkmoth Nessus, play Tifa. If she gets countered or killed, we have 2 Blighted Agents. Opponent did shuffle off of that Ponder as well. So yeah, I think we're going to Inkmoth Nexus, slam Tifa. She is unfortunately the worst of our threats. She also does not work with Pendelhaven. I consider taking Pendelhaven out of the deck, but it's still so important for the Infectors that I think it's worth it. We also now have protection for Tifa if we need it, assuming we untap with her. Bayou from the opponent. Okay, so we're up against some kind of bug deck. Assassin's Trophy the Inkmoth now. Okay. Yes. We will go grab our Forest, which is going to trigger Tifa. This also gives us a forest to be able to cast Invigorate for free. Ooh, and we had a scale up. So this is actually everything that we want here. So we are going to scale up on Tifa. Are we doing it already is the question. Okay. Play a Verdant Catacombs, trigger Tifa, crack the Verdant Catacombs. We still have Legolas's quick reflexes up. Grab a Trop, trigger Tifa up to 24, move to combat, and we have Legolas's quick reflexes to be able to protect her. Are we doing it? Game 1? We did it! Game 1 of match 1! Tifa! 24 damage! Turn 3. Alright, we already did it. We're on the scoreboard. Video's over. We did everything that we planned on. Okay, so up against some kind of bug deck. I think we want Legolas's quick reflexes. We probably want Veils. I don't know what style of bug deck we're up against here, so I don't know if they're going to care about their graveyard at all. Sable Stag could be pretty good if we want to go just all in on the just damage them route. It might actually not be a bad juke to just go Sable Stag in and then actually possibly take out the Blighted Agents. So that is an option that we have if we want to try doing that. If we bring all of this in, though, what are we taking out? I really don't want to go down all of my Blighted Agents because that makes us extremely threat light, but it might not be a bad idea. Another thing we could do is we can probably trim the crop rotations. This was something that I just thought would be cute with Tifa, and it'd be another way to be able to get our Inkmoth Nexuses. So we can probably trim those. I'm tempted to take out Force of Wills because you typically don't want them up against fair decks as its card disadvantage. It probably actually isn't a bad idea just taking out the Force of Wills. We're bringing in Veil of Summers. Yeah, I think we'll put the Force of Wills in the no pile. Maybe we keep one just as a backup. We could also bring in something like Sylvan Library. Black, I'm assuming, means they're going to have discard spells. I'm also running a little low on time to sideboard here. Yeah, let's try something like that. See how that goes. Okay, this is a pretty good, just straight up typical Infect hand, so I think we're going to keep this. Plan on turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 probably play Blighted Agent, try to kill them on turn 3. Underground Sea from the opponent, followed by a Preordain. Okay, so is this like Bug Doomsday? You normally don't see Preordain unless they're some kind of unfair combo deck. I don't know. Maybe it's like a Tempo Doomsday deck or something. I'm not 100% sure. Opponent went 1 top, 1 bottom with that. I haven't seen Wasteland out of the opponent yet, so I'm not sure. Hey, we could try to do the thing again. I was going to say, I haven't seen Wasteland yet, so I don't know if that's something we need to play around. But I think we're going to go ahead, just grab a Trop, play a Noble Hierarch, and then next turn we can Noble Hierarch and Ponder, or we can try dropping the Blighted Agent if we think that's what we want to do based off of what we draw. If they do Wasteland the Tropical Island, we at least still have mana. Verdant Catacomb into Ponder from the opponent. We could try to distract them with a Tifa as well, see if that draws out removal or a counterspell, and then slam Blighted Agent. But they did see that we have the Infect route as well. Opponent did not shuffle off of the Ponder. Okay. So I think unless we draw a protection spell, we draw Brainstorm. I think we're going to start off with Ponder here. Just try to set up our draws, play a little bit slower. I like Daze. So we will draw the Daze. No shuffle. Play out another Ignoble Hierarch to build up our mana. We're drawing a fetch land next turn. And we have Daze up to attempt to protect our stuff. We also had the Brainstorm into a fetch land for next turn. We just have to watch out for something like Orcish Bowmasters. City of Traders. Is this like a show and tell deck? Stock up. I have no idea what our opponent's doing over there. Like, it's cool, whatever it is. Is it just like a big bug mid-range deck? We haven't seen any creatures out of the opponent. We saw the Assassin's Trophy. They do have a full grip of cards, so we are in for a fight regardless of what we do. They don't have Bowmaster mana open, so I think we're going to lead off with Brainstorm here. And we hit a Ponder, Invigorate, and 2 fetches. I think we put one Invigorate back. And then do we want to put the Ponder back? Do we want to put the Blighted Agent back? I really don't want to get rid of one of our two threats here. It might just be put the land back and hope we draw it, or we can put the Ponder back. And if we don't need to crack the fetch land, we don't need to crack the fetch land. Yeah, I think we're going to put the Ponder back, play a fetch land. We are going to go ahead and play Tifa as a distraction, so hopefully we can get our Blighted Agent in, because this is what they died to last night. So we're going to see if they respect Tifa, if they're going to save their interaction for a Blighted Agent. Hedge Maze from the opponent. Okay. Kept whatever it was on top. Okay. This Daze is very quickly getting outclassed, though. Ponder from the opponent. Okay. Decline the shuffle. Playing a Misty Rainforest after tapping City Traders for mana. Okay. What do we got going on over there? Okay, it is Show and Tell. Okay, I mean, we put Blighted Agent in and hope that it's not Omniscience. Okay, Atraxas, fine. They've got Brainstorm, a couple of Omniscience, an Emrakul. Okay, so nothing in their hand actually stops any of this. And we have Blighted Agent with enough to be able to pump it to kill the opponent. Because their Atraxa isn't going to be able to block this. They could have a Force of Will in hand already. Chose Snow-Covered Island, Ponder, Assassin's Trophy, one of the Omniscience, no Show and Tell, no Trop, one of the Assassin's Trophies. So Snow-Covered Island, Ponder, Assassin's Trophy, Omniscience, Emrakul. And they're going to have to discard 3 cards. Okay. That is totally fine. I like the Ponder on top. Since we're not going with Tifa here, I think we are going to draw the Ponder, shuffle, and then cast the Ponder. Alright, they chucked the Snow-Covered Island, Ponder, and Assassin's Trophy. Okay. So we have the Ponder. We are going to fetch first, because we know there's another, whatchamacallit on top. Let's grab Tropical Island here. Tifa triggers. It's kind of irrelevant at this point, because we're not going to be attacking with her. Let's cast a Ponder. Okay, Veil of Summer is great. We will Blighted Agent, Ponder, Veil of Summer on top, no shuffle. We will cast Scale Up, targeting Blighted Agent. We have a Force of Will. How many counters do you have, opponent, is the question. Force of Will chucking a Lorien revealed. We are going to go ahead and Veil of Summer. Getting a fetch from the opponent. Into an Underground Sea. Okay. Into a Spell Pierce. We will Daze the Spell Pierce. Okay, that resolved. Veil resolves and we draw a card. Get the Scale Up. Okay, we have protection from blue and from black. We might as well do this just to be safe. We will cast this Ponder that we drew. Nothing can be countered. I don't think any of this particularly matters, but we will go ahead and do Blighted Agent below, grab the Daze for next turn just in case this goes wrong somehow, move into combat, attack with the Blighted Agent, get our Exalted triggers, move to blocks, cast our Invigorate, give our opponent some life, get them back up to 20, hit them with a 12-10 Blighted Agent for game. Alright, we got there already on the board with Tifa-Fect, and we got to do the thing. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, won the die roll. Let's go. Cannot keep this. We have no threats. Got a mulligan. Okay, we can keep this. I think we're going to bin the Crop Rot here. Yeah, we're going to keep this. Opponent kept on 7. We're going to bin the Crop Rot. We are going to start off staying unwastelandable. We are going to play Forest into Noble Hierarch. Make them think maybe we're on Maverick, we're on Cradle Control, something like that. Ship the turn. Ancient Tomb from the opponent. Grim Monolith. Okay. How crazy can they go on turn 1? Lotus Petal. The One Ring. Okay. Well, they went pretty hard on turn 1, but they theoretically don't have any actual interaction outside of maybe Kozilek's command. We draw Verdant Catacombs. We will play a Misty Rainforest. We will play a Blighted Agent, and then we are going to hope that this Brainstorm can find us pump spells to be able to kill them this turn without them going off. We can protect our Blighted Agent from a Kozilek's command with Legolas's Quick Reflexes. Opponent taps the One Ring. Urza's Tower. Okay, so it's like the big mana Tron deck. 3 mana. That is not enough mana to kill Blighted Agent. That is enough to be able to kill Noble Hierarch. But we can always protect the Noble Hierarch as well, which we're probably going to want to. Yes. We are going to go ahead and save this Hierarch because we care about the damage here. We're going to grab Trop. We are going to protect the Noble Hierarch. This also does actually let us Brainstorm right now, but I think we're going to wait. Because really, we just want pump spells. So we're going to Brainstorm. We're looking for pump spells. Scale Up plus Crop Rot. That's not bad. I like Blighted Agent Force of Will. So I think we put back... Because we can Crop Rot, go get whatchamacallit next turn. Pendelhaven. That should be lethal. Because this is going to be 7 plus 3. Yes. Put back Verdant. Put back Crop Rot. Cast Scale Up on the Blighted Agent. Swing in for 7 this turn. And then we have Force of Will to try to stop anything too crazy this turn. And then, like I said, we can Crop Rot for Pendelhaven next turn to get in the last 3 points of damage that we need. Alright. Opponent has a metric fuckload of mana, regardless of what's going on here. They're drawing a bunch of cards with the One Ring. We're really hoping that they just try to go for, like, one big spell here. And now they have virtually unlimited mana. Because they have the Nexus. Okay, Defense Grid makes it so that they can kind of just pop off here. We can't pay anyways. So we could let them do their thing. And then we have a backup Blighted Agent. And just hope that we can get there. They've got 3, 4, 5 mana left over after this. I think we're going to hold on to our Blighted Agent. We're just going to let that go. Because if they have a way to kill this Blighted Agent, we have a backup one, or we can Crop Rot to go find Inkmoth Nexus. Candelabra, okay, that's going to be a bunch of mana. We might be dead here, but we'll see. They have 7 mana. What can they do with their 7 mana? This looks like a Kozilek's command. No, it's a new the One Ring. Okay. That buys them a turn, but it gives us mana for next turn to be able to hold up this Force of Will again. Another Grim Monolith, okay. Mystic Forge, okay. Well, I can't do anything anyway, so we'll just F6 from here, see what they can do. That is terrifying, though. Okay. Well, we drew the Crop Rot. We have mana to be able to try to stop something crazy here. So we're just going to pass the turn, and basically we just Force of Will anything that kills Blighted Agent or kills us. We're just going to have to see what they got. Okay, Glaring Fleshraker. Can they kill me from here with a Fleshraker? It's possible, but they don't have like a Paradoxical Engine or anything. Mishra's Workshop. They have basically unlimited mana here, so I just got to see what they're doing. Basalt Monolith. Okay, I mean, we're just going to always yield to this. They might be able to burn us out from here. It's very possible, especially being able to play off the top of their deck, but we're just going to have to see what they do. Exile a card off the top of their library. Okay. Karn entered the exile zone. Tapping Basalt Monolith. Untapping some lands. Okay. This is a Karn the Great Creator. Do they have the mana to be able to go grab Lattice? 3, 4, 6. Yes? Well, we have to Force of Will this then. And then we just gotta hope that we can get there from here and that their hand is just junk. Like, there's nothing else we can do here, so now we can F6 through the turn. I'm sure they have a way to kill us from here. If it's just another Karn, if it's just another Glaring Fleshraker, if it's a Kozilek's command, we're dead. It looks like it's a Kozilek's command. Yeah. Okay, well, we put up a good fight. We almost got there. Just kind of shows you the power of these big mana ramp decks in the current format, and honestly kind of how egregious Kozilek's command is. You're seeing this after I posted my State of the Meta video, and I still stand by my stance that Kozilek's command is an abomination of a card and should not exist. With another The One Ring, we're going to scoop it up and go to the next one. We know we're drawing a fetch land off at the top. We can go to game 2, that's fine. against what our opponent is doing here, definitely want Force of Vigors in. I think we want to bring in Legolas's quick reflexes. The dazes look a little sus here, so I think we can take those out. I'm debating if we want to bring in Flusterstorm specifically to respect Kozilek's command, but they have so much mana, there's a good chance that they're going to be able to pay for it anyways. We might just want to bring in Sylvan Libraries, honestly, and maybe drop a Crop Rot, and let's try that. Luckily, we shouldn't have... Okay, this is a turn 3 kill, so we're going to keep this. And we got the good Tifa art. So the question is can we survive until turn 3? They also haven't seen the Tifa tech yet. But Tifa is lethal, Blighted Agent is not, so we're going to do Tifa. Opponent mulligans to 5, okay. Ooh, opponent's going all the way to 4. That is ballsy. What is the opponent mulliganing so deep for is my question. Well, they kept on 4. We are going to start off with Inkmoth, Nexus, and pass. Then we'll play Tropical Island Tifa, and then hopefully we just kill them on turn 3 with Tifa and scale up. Ancient Tomb, Defense Grid, okay. How crazy is your start, opponent? We draw Sylvan Library. Well, we're going to stick with the plan. Play the Trop, play Tifa, and then hope that they either don't have an answer for Tifa, or they don't have the One Ring, or their 4 cards in hand are not enough to just pop off and kill us from here. But we will see. 3 mana. Into a Glaring Fleshraker. That shouldn't matter. Lotus Petal, okay. They have 1 card in hand. We can trample through a Lotus Petal. That's not an issue. Okay, so we should be able to do this, because Tifa's going to have 24 power, and they've only got 3 blockers, and they're down to 16 already? Okay. We are going to do the thing. Turn Tifa into a giant worm. Play Misty Rainforest. Double Tifa's power. Fetch with Tifa. Or fetch. We're going to grab a Hedge Maze just to set up our next turn in case something crazy happens here. We do not want a Noble Hierarch. We can bend that. Move to combat. Swing in with a 24-4 Tifa with Trample to do a casual 21 damage to our opponent on turn 3. Alright! I guess what my buddy across the street who actually plays Final Fantasy said is Tifa is best girl. Alright. I think we're just gonna run it back. Alright, now we gotta try to do this on the draw. We have a lot of card draw here and a Force of Will. I know it's like blasphemy to keep a hand without a threat in Infect, but I like this so much. We're going to run the risk. We have a ton of card selection, and we have a Force of Will to stop our opponent when they try to pop off like crazy. So I think I'm going to go against the Infect Bible here. Sam, if you see this, feel free to yell at me. Planar Nexus from the opponent and a pass. Okay. Okay, never didn't have it. Drew a Blighted Agent. We are going to play Verdant Catacombs, fetch out a Tropical Island, and play a Noble Hierarch. And then we are going to hope that we hit a land. I don't know if I'm willing to risk not hitting a land trying to dig for one. They have 4 mana here into a Glaring Fleshraker. I think we're going to let that go. We can attack through it, and I'd rather try to go after a payoff spell, because they've got to chain a lot together to be able to kill us with Glaring Fleshraker from here. Alright, and they're passing. I would love a land off of the top. If we don't hit one, so be it. Another Legolas's quick reflexes. Okay, well, we're just going to play Blighted Agent, hold up Force of Will, and then we have multiple cantrips for next turn to try to find pump spells to kill with Blighted Agent. Opponent only has 3 cards in hand. 4. We have a Force of Will to try to stop something like the One Ring, Karn, Mystic Forge, stuff like that. We can take our chip damage from the Fleshraker, that's fine. A Karn the Great Creator. We will let that... We'll let the Glaring Fleshraker trigger happen. And they've got 5 mana here to be able to get something crazy off of this. I think we're going to Force a Will this. They only have 2 cards left in hand. We have 2 Brainstorms. We can pitch one of them. We are shields down now if they have something else to do here. Another Karn, okay, but they can't do anything with it. They can play a 2-drop. So what? They could go ahead and grab a Liquimetal Coating, try to shut down a land. But we have Brainstorm, so we can Brainstorm in response to them trying to shut our land down. It also doesn't take the land types off of it. Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, they got the mana to be able to do that. That is a little annoying. And it is their last card in hand. Okay. So we gotta hope for a we gotta hope for a Force of Vigor off the top, basically, or to find one in a couple of our draws here. We hit a Misty. Let's start out with Brainstorm. Ponder, a bunch of lands. We are going to put the lands back. Fetch with Misty. Grab a Trop. Play a Ponder. A bunch of lands. Any order. Shuffle, yes. Inkmoth Nexus. Let's Ponder. A whole bunch of scale ups. Is this to target creature? Yes, up to one target creature. They could Lattice Lock us out of the game here. Or they could go for some kind of card draw spell. Like, the problem is I don't want 3 scale ups in a row. Because what I'm trying to think here is, if there's some way that they get a card stuck in their hand, we can attack with a Blighted Agent, but scale up is a sorcery, so it doesn't really do anything. I think we need to just put them any order and shuffle, and still just hope to hit a Force of Vigor, but we don't. We hit a Force of Will. Okay. Unfortunately, they have enough mana to be able to Lattice Lock us. If they grab Lattice, we're just dead. Like, it is what it is. And they're just instantly down-ticking. I'm assuming this means they're going to go grab Mycosynth Lattice. Unless for some reason they didn't put it in their sideboard. They grab Mystic Forge instead. Okay. So they're going to try to kill us outright here. Well, there's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to F6 through the turn. They have 1 card left in hand. Got rid of another Karn. I'm wondering if they just don't have Mycosynth Lattice, because that would have been the hard lock if they went for that. They have a Dismember. Interesting. Okay. Like, we can play Inkmoth Nexus, but they're never going to be in a position where they can actively keep their hand with anything in it. Tifa's not really doing anything here. We could kill the Fleshraker, but I'm not sure it really does anything is the problem. Because, like, we can animate Inkmoth Nexus, but we have to wait until it doesn't have Summoning Sickness, because as soon as we activate it, we can't use it for mana. And then we can, like, Legolas's Quick Reflexes, kill that. Yeah, I think we're just going to run out Tifa. I don't think we're going to be able to get back into this, but, I mean, there's still a world where we theoretically could. So, we're going to pass the turn. I could kill the Fleshraker with the Noble Hierarch, because I swing in, it has 0, it gains 1 toughness, or 1 power, cast this, untap it, tap it, deal 1 for mana, cast this, untap it again, deal 1. I mean, that's honestly our best bet here. I mean, we're going to try. I don't think this is going to work, but we are going to try. Then we are going to Legolas's Quick Reflexes, tap for mana, ping Fleshraker. This is a really weird line. Untap it again, tap it again, 1 at Fleshraker, 1 at one of the Eldrazi spawns. Because it gets 2 separate instances of that. And then they can block with their spawn? Like, this is really the only line I could see as a theoretical way forward. Yeah, they're going to block with the spawn so that they can keep Karn around. But it does clear the board, and it restricts their mana a little bit. And upkeep, they're getting rid of a Mystic Forge. They didn't want another one. They can still play things off the top of their library. They can't get anything from their sideboard with Karn. Grim Monolith. I'm just going to F6 through the turn. There's no point in, like, faking that we have days or something. Ooh, they're animating their Ensnaring Bridge. I think we can take a hit. Oh, they're just leaving it up. Okay. We have an Invigorate. Okay. That is something we can do here. It's not a good way to do it, but we're gonna do it. We are going to attack Karn. Let this happen. I can also hard cast the Invigorate, so I don't have to give them life off of this. I'm assuming they're going to block with Ensnaring Bridge. But this should give all sorts of warning flags to our opponent here. Are you taking the bait, opponent? No, but we can kill the Karn at least. So at least Karn is off the battlefield now. They're playing off the top of their deck. We still just realistically need a, whatchamacallit, Force of Vigor. Or is this Workshop off the top? Hopefully it's just a bunch of lands. And so far it is. I also wouldn't hate more Invigorates. Okay, just a Mox Opal. They still can play stuff off the top of their deck if they got it, but it doesn't look like it. Just like more Invigorates I can hardcast at instant speed would be great. Another Noble Hierarch isn't bad. This does give us an actual, like, pseudo clock here. Hitting for 2 a turn and hoping that they just don't have anything off the top of their deck. And Mystic Forge is a source of damage against the opponent, and they keep activating it. Another... Wow, they got rid of an Urza Saga? That is surprising. Okay, new Fleshraker, but no follow-up. We can attack into the Fleshraker, though. Another Invigorate. Okay. Well, we can swing in, get our Exalted triggers. They might just take this. Okay, so if we Invigorate, it goes up to 6. They're down to 4? Do I want to hold on to the Invigorate for now is the question. I don't think so. I think we're just going to go ahead and cast it. Make it so that activating their Mystic Forge has a real cost. Put the opponent to 4. Make it so that it kind of forces them to block with their Glaring Fleshraker. And make sure that their Mystic Forge has a real cost to it. Just another land, okay. And they're probably going to be forced to block here. Blighted Agent, okay, I like that. It gives me something to do with this Force of Will. So now they kind of have to block the Fleshraker. Otherwise they go to 1 and their Mystic Forge is entirely shut off. Okay, they're taking the block. And we have a Force of Will to try to stop anything insane off the top of their deck. We gotta hope that the top of their deck just doesn't want to cooperate and isn't banger after banger. But they've been getting through a bunch of fluff. Alright, they're doing it again. Getting rid of an Ancient Tomb. What is this? They were tapping mana. They are passing instead. This makes me think... Oh, no, they were in their draw step still, that's why. The One Ring, we are going to say no to that. And hope that the top of their deck is a land. And we got there! Holy shit! Alright! Tifa-Fect doing his thing. On to the next one. Alright, a little land light, but otherwise I actually really like it, so I think we're going to keep. Opponent kept on 7 as well. Mox Opals. We're probably going to see another artifact strategy of some sort. Chrome Mox. This Painter is the Storm. Infernal Tutor. Okay, we're up against Storm. Are we getting turned 1 by Storm? It looks like it? Is this Ad Nauseam? Beseech the Mirror. Is this a definitive Beseech line? Yes, it is. Because they can Beseech into, whatchamacallit, Gaia's Will, replay the Dark Rituals, replay the Artifacts, Beseech, go get Tendrils. Luckily, they're not seeing what we have going on. Yep, Beseech into a Beseech. This one's going to go get Gaia's Will. They're going to be able to replay their Dark Rituals, play out Mox Opal, Chrome Mox, then Beseech into a Tendrils. Yep, there's Gaia's Will. So is this Black Saga Storm, or is this traditional Storm, becomes the question here. I'm just going to let them do their thing. As a fellow Storm enthusiast, I will let them have their fun. So yeah, there we go. We see all of these. Yep. Are they going to imprint the card in their hand is the question. Just to try to get a little more information out of the opponent. See if we can tell if they're just straight Black Saga Storm or something else. No, they didn't imprint whatever was in their hand. So now they Beseech the Mirror, bargain one of these, go grab Tendrils. Tendrils us for 13. Okay, so we'll move to game 2. So we shouldn't have to worry about counter magic unless they're on traditional Storm. We are bringing in Fluster Storms for sure. We are bringing in Veil of Summers. We do not need our protection spells. We can get rid of those for sure. And then probably get rid of the 2 crop rotations. I don't think we're going to get in a position where that's really going to do its thing here. Because if they're Black Saga Storm, and they didn't see that we have creatures, they're not going to be bringing in their like Fatal Pushes and Feed the Swarms and stuff like that. So I think we're good dropping some amount of protection here. Just bringing in counter magic and then protection for ourselves. And let's try that. If this had a land, it would be great, but it doesn't, so we have to ship it. Okay, we have protection, we have lands, we have threats. We're going to keep this. I'm just debating what we want to put back. I think we're going to put the Brainstorm back for now. Ponder's a better cantrip. And then it just comes down to, do I want to Ponder and risk not having a blue card? Or do I just want to play the Verdant Catacombs and go from there? I think we're just going to play the Verdant. I would like to hang on to the fetch land for Tifa, but we need a third land anyways. So we're going to go ahead and play the Verdant, pass a turn. Our plan is to crack it for a Hedge Maze next turn, play Inkmoth Nexus, play Tifa, and hopefully just hold up Force of Will blue card. Box open from the opponent. Do they have another turn 1? Okay, this is Black Saga Storm. If they got Vault of Whispers, it's 100% Black Saga Storm. Thoughtseize. Do I want to protect my thoughts? We'll let them see what we're doing here. I'd rather them take 1 card instead of 2. Hopefully this means that they can't go off this turn, but if they have a perfect protected turn 1, so be it. They took the Force of Will. Can you go off from here? Is the rest of your hand able to do it? Okay, it doesn't look like they have it from here. Crack our Verdant. Go grab our Hedge Maze. Blighted Agent. Do I think I have a better shot with Blighted Agent? It's a blue card for Force of Will, but we actually have a faster clock with Tifa if we hit a fetch land. I think since we have 2 threats, we're going to bin the Blighted Agent into a Brainstorm. Okay. So we can go shields down to play Tifa. I think we're going to Ponder. Try to find some form of protection. Okay, I don't hate Daze. We're going to do Forest, Trop, Daze. Put the Daze in hand. Draw the Forest next turn. Play Inkmoth Nexus. Pass the turn. I know Daze is a little iffy up against Storm. They can produce so much mana, but I like the fact that I at least have a counterspell. I can also get in with Inkmoth Nexus for 6 next turn. And then hopefully this Brainstorm finds us something relevant. Or I can just play Tifa, hold it up, depending on how much damage they do themselves. And it looks like the opponent's just passing, which I don't hate at all. So with the Trop, I think we're just going to play Tifa and pass. And then trust that we find a fetch land with this Brainstorm next turn. Because we know the top card is a Forest. I actually should have played that knowing that we had whatchamacallit, but oh well. That's a punt on my part. I was thinking I wanted to hold it for landfall purposes, but knowing that there's a Forest on top and we don't have the right colors to be able to scale up and fetch land at the same time. Elvish Spirit Guide in this deck. Interesting. 4 mana. Song of Creation. We are going to say no to that. They could have another Spirit Guide, but they don't. Okay. So now Tifa's not going to be able to do much damage next turn anyways. Alright, there's a Lotus Petal. And they're passing the turn. It turns on their Mox Opal again, so they can try again. We are going to play Tropical Island. And then we are going to go ahead and Brainstorm. See if we can set up for next turn. Fluster Daze Brainstorm. Let's put back the Forest and the Brainstorm. Get in for 2. We have a Daze, so that hopefully we can stop another attempt to go off here. And then next turn, we can scale up and then landfall. Or we can just hold up Flusterstorm, wait another turn. Dark Ritual, okay. We're going to try to screw with their mana after the rituals are done. Because if they just go for like an ad nauseum here, we can daze it again. And apparently opponent's math was wrong and they scooped it up. Okay, cool. I think we just run it back. Okay, I like this. We got turn 1 Hierarch with Force Will backup, Tifa. Yeah, this is pretty much everything we want, so we'll keep this. Lotus Petal from the opponent. Into a Thoughtseize. We'll let this happen. Like, they can take one of our counters. They're probably going to take Flusterstorm, but then we have a shot to draw a blue card for this Force of Will. They could also just take our threat, but we have 2. Like, the smart thing here is take the Flusterstorm, because it's the guaranteed counter next turn, which is what they do. And pass the turn. Okay, so they kept a no-lander. That is interesting. Blue card off the top. Another Tifa. Okay. Well, we will play out the Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn. The fact that they didn't go for it right there means they're still waiting for something. And hopefully they stay off-kilter enough to be able to hold them back. Okay, Urza's Saga. That will pose a problem eventually. They also know we have a Force of Will, so they're always going to have to be scared that we have a blue card to go along with it. Chrome Mox. What are they throwing under the Chrome Mox? Nothing. Just running it out. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. Lion's Eye Diamond. What is your last card, opponent? Infernal Tutor. And they're just going no fear mode here. Unfortunately, we do not have the blue card to punish this. They took a calculated risk. Their math was correct this time. And there's the Beseech, and yeah, they got it from here. They just go grab Guy as well. They could go grab another Beseech if they want to and sacrifice this Urza Saga, but yeah, there's Guy as well. They got it. Good game, opponent. Good game. Alright, won the die roll. Let's go. Yeah, it's a little slow since I can't get Noble Hierarch down in turn 1, but I think we're going to keep this. It's a pretty good Inkmoth Nexus, traditional Infect kind of star. I'd like this to be an untapped land, but setting up our next draw to hopefully find an untapped land is pretty good. So we're going to lead off on Hedge Maze, see what our next draw is going to be. Following turn, Noble Hierarch into Inkmoth Nexus. And hopefully we see a land here. I'll take a Daze. I think a Daze is fine. It acts as some form of protection. Just please don't wasteland me, bro. Blooded Strand from the opponent. Okay. We draw our Daze. We will play Inkmoth Nexus. Play Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn, hold up Daze. We have Brainstorm, activate Inkmoth Nexus, Invigorate, or we can just activate Inkmoth Nexus, attack, Invigorate, hold up Legolas's Quick Reflexes. Tundra from the opponent, okay. And ships the turn. Okay, no end of turn Swords to Plowshares, which is nice. Tropical Island, so we could be on, like, Beans? Do I care enough about the Beans here? Like, I can try to Daze this, but I think I'd rather save the Daze for trying to fight over my own stuff here. So we'll let them get their engine online real quick. Into Daze number 2, let's start with a Brainstorm. We hit lands, we hit a Blighted Agent. Let's put back Blighted Agent and one of the lands. Play a land. We are going to go ahead and fetch. Grab a Tropical Island. Activate Inkmoth Nexus. Move to combat. Get in for 6 this turn. We have double Daze backup. We are going to use our pump spell now. Give our opponent a little life, hit for 6. And we can save it with Legolas's Quick Reflexes if we need to. And they just pass the turn, okay. And then we still have Legolas's Quick Reflexes and double Daze available. Or we can Brainstorm end of turn if we need to. Blooded Strand from the opponent, cracks it, okay. So is this just Bant, or is it going to be like a 4-color? Okay, there's red. It's 4-color Beans. Ley Line Binding. So I want to pop off this Legolas's Quick Reflexes in response, but it doesn't actually matter because it has split second, so we can let them target our Noble Hierarch and then do it. Because even if they drew a counter, they can't do anything about it. And then this does allow us to Brainstorm end of turn, which is probably what I'm going to do. Pass the turn. And then we are going to use this extra mana to Brainstorm at end of turn. Just be mana efficient. Invigorate triple Daze. Do I want the third Daze? I don't think it does anything. So we'll go ahead and put back Daze. Put back Misty. We're going to draw the Misty. And then assuming this Invigorate works, I don't think we need the other Daze. We can go ahead and fetch away just so that we don't get caught in a weird position again. Animate the Inkmoth Nexus. We have double Daze to hopefully get through anything that they have to interact with us here. Get our Exalted trigger. Move to blocks. Cast Invigorate. Give you some more life. They have a Force of Will. We are going to go ahead and Daze this to make them commit the mana before they get their draw and can make a decision off of that. Then bounce cast a Daze. Now they get their draw. Did they find another Force of Will? They did not. Okay, got there with a traditional Infect kill in game 1. Alright, up against Beans. I think we want Force of Vigors to take out their Leyline Bindings and their Beans. Probably more Legolas's Quick Reflexes and some amount of Veil of Summers. Let's take out the Force of Wills. And I think we're going to trim 1 crop rotation. And let's try this. Alright, so we do technically have a threat with crop rotation. I think we're going to keep this. It's a little wonky, but we do technically have a threat with crop rotation to be able to go get Inkmoth Nexus. And we have a bit of protection. So I think we're going to keep. We draw Brainstorm. We will play Verdant Catacombs. Pass the turn. Misty Rainforest from the opponent. Okay. Because we have 2 Brainstorms and another fetch land, I think I'm comfortable end of turn Brainstorming here. Okay, we just draw an Inkmoth Nexus. So let's put back Misty and Pendlehaven. We can draw Pendelhaven next turn. And I think we are going to go ahead and... These decks typically don't play Wasteland, but I think we might play it a little safe here. Play out the Pendelhaven and play out Noble Hierarch. Just get our mana under us. We can protect that. If they have a Wasteland, we can crop rotation whatever land they target away. We'll play Inkmoth Nexus next turn. And then we can also Brainstorm and Shuffle. Savannah from the opponent. Alright, so they're just trying to save up a ton of interaction here is what it looks like. Luckily, we have Legolas's Quick Reflexes up. We are going to start with a Brainstorm. Okay, I like the Invigorate. We can pretty easily put away Crop Rotation and a Fetch Land. Play Inkmoth Nexus, pass the turn. And we kind of just want to set up to the point where we can find another pump spell. And then we will activate Inkmoth Nexus and go to town. Crack their Misty to go grab a Trop. Cracking their Flooded Strand. Or a Tundra. Okay, so they're rounding out their colors. Are they going to try to lay... No. I was thinking maybe they were going to try to Leyline Binding there, but apparently not. They are Life from the Loaming Backlands. Okay, so this Daze is going to look pretty bad here pretty quickly. And shipping the turn. Okay, so we know we are drawing a fetch land. So we can play another Inkmoth Nexus, which I think I'm comfortable with. Where is the newly controlled one? This is the newly controlled one. Animate this Inkmoth Nexus. We will pump it. There's no need to do it instant speed. We're just going to do it now. And they're going to Swords to Plowshares it. Do I want to save it or no? This would be 7 damage coming in. And then that means it's lethal next turn. Or we can wait, see what we draw. I think we're going to get our damage in now. While they can't do anything about it. Fizzle the Swords to Plowshares. Give this +1/+2. Get in. Get our Exalted trigger. No targets for the Inkmoth Nexus. Move to blocks. Invigorate it. This gets a counter out of their hand. Okay, it does. It gets 2 counters out of their hand. Okay. I'm actually super okay with that. And we have another Inkmoth Nexus. So even if they find a way to deal with one of these, we have another one. And we can spread out if we want to attack with both. Taiga from the opponent off of their fetch land. Are they dredging? No. Another Trop Clown from the opponent. Hardcast Force of Will is something they can do now. Which if they do, we can daze it. We hit another crop rotation. Well, let's animate Inkmoth Nexus. I should have tapped an Inkmoth Nexus to do this, but oh well. We are going to go ahead and pump it. Force of Vigor targeting Inkmoth Nexus. Well, we are just going to crop rot it away and go grab another Inkmoth Nexus. I could have grabbed a Hedge Maze there, but I think grabbing a secondary Inkmoth Nexus is better. Let that happen. This is the newly controlled one. Animate the other Inkmoth Nexus. Begin combat. Get in for 2. Do they have a removal spell for this one? Ooh, they have an Endurance. Okay. That's a little annoying, but it at least shrinks the Endurance to the point that it can't profitably block the next one. And they are down to 1 card in hand, so they cannot profitably block the next Inkmoth Nexus. Land from the opponent, okay. Are they just going to hold the Endurance back on D? Yes, they are. Okay, this Daze is looking pretty bad. Another Legolas's Quick Reflexes. That can kill the Endurance. I like that. So we are going to play a Trop. We are actually going to go ahead and animate the Inkmoth Nexus with itself. Legolas's Quick Reflexes it. Pump it here. Get into combat. And then with that ability on the bottom, we will kill the Endurance after it gets an additional +1/+1. Hit them for another 3. And they are down to 1 card in hand, going to be drawing a second one. Endurance is out of the way. Cracking their Flooded Strand. Are we going to see... No, we're seeing a Mystic Sanctuary. What, to get back Swords to Plowshares? Yes. So we need another protection spell of some sort. But we've used 2 of our 4 Legolas's Quick Reflexes already. Alright, so we know the last card in hand is Swords to Plowshares. So we need to flush that out of their hand with something. That is a scale up. We could try juking and just trying to go face now, if we really want to, and see if we can flush that Swords to Plowshares out of them. Is that the way that we want to do this? I don't think so. Not yet. We will just get in with Noble Hierarch. We want to wait until we have protection or another infect threat to be able to attack with two things, and then they have to choose what they want to kill. And we will go grab our hedge maze off of this Misty Rainforest. Alright, looks like opponent's just passing the turn. And we will go fetch our hedge maze. Another scale up. You know what? We're gonna put that on top of our library. We're gonna try to make them go after our whatchamacallit here. We are going to scale up the Noble Hierarch. We're trying to bait this removal spell out on the Noble Hierarch if we can. Because multiple scale ups are kind of scary. I'm holding on to the Verdant for now, just in case we end up like swapping onto a Tifa route. Because Tifa plus scale up plus Verdant is lethal. But I don't like that we're giving them time to figure this out. But it seems like they're kind of just passing the turn overall. I would love to find our other Legolas's quick reflexes, because that's just game. Okay, that is a Tifa. Let's go ahead and get in. See if this Tifa is good enough for a removal spell. Because we will try to bait the removal out next turn by targeting Tifa with scale up and then playing our Verdant. Land from the opponent, okay. So we're going to see if we can get that Swords to Plowshares out of their hand. Blighted Agents, okay. So, I mean, we are just going to keep putting them to the test here. We're getting something out of the opponent here. Is this a Leyline Binding? No, it is a hardcast Force of Will. Okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead, play Blighted Agents. That should get the whatchamacallit out of their hand. Okay, so this is probably going to get all of their removal out of their hand. So we know all that's left is a Swords to Plowshares. We can theoretically swing for 6 here. Put them down to 4. See if they block. No block. We are going to double Tifa's power. We're just going to grab another Trop. Hit you for 6. And all you have is a single Swords to Plowshares in hand. Do you have more Mystic Sanctuaries is the question. Alright, they're killing it now. Okay, that is their last card. And they did not fetch for another Mystic Sanctuary, so I guess we're going to see what the top of their deck looks like. Ooh, another land, and opponent scoops it up. Alright, I like it. On to the next one. Final round, positive record is locked. Won the die roll. Let's go. Yeah, we can keep this. We got an Infect threat. We got protection for it. We got a little bit of counter magic. We are going to start off with Verdant Catacombs, with the plan being to go grab our Hedge Maze. Ancient Tomb from the opponent. Please do not drop a Chalice on one. Lotus Petal. Okay. I would like to not have to daze this turn, but I will if I have to. 3 mana into a stock up. Okay, so is this like Blue Painter? This could also be like Sneak and Show. We'll let the stock up resolve. I don't think we need to daze that. Alright. And then end of turn, we are going to go ahead and fetch. Go grab our Hedge Maze. Crop Rotation, I don't think we need that. Let's put that into the graveyard for right now. Into a Brainstorm, I don't hate that. We will drop Blighted Agent. Brainstorm could find us another pump spell to be able to make this Blighted Agent lethal. We have double days available if we need it. Another Ancient Tomb, okay. And a Lotus Petal, okay. Blue mana. Is this a show and tell around double days? Okay, I mean, we're gonna hope that they don't do anything too crazy here. Into an Emrakul. Okay. So we need an Invigorate. And we have a Brainstorm to help try to find it. That's a Tifa. That's not going to do it. We need exactly Invigorate. Inkmoth Nexus, Crop Rotation. Yeah, this doesn't do it because we can swack in for 6, but then they just annihilate our entire board and we can't rebuild. I mean, we can play a land, scale up. Legolas's Quick Reflex is here to drop this by 6, but it's still just going to kill us in 2 attacks. And it wipes up our entire board? Yeah, no, just the Ancient Tomb to get around double days was what got us there. Okay, up against Sneak and Show, or Show and Tell, I think we bring in Veil of Summers. They might have Omniscience, so I'm going to bring in the Force of Vigors. I think we're taking out the Crop Rots. That's a pretty easy one. And I think we can take out the Legolas's Quick Reflexes. I don't think they're going to have a ton of removal. If they're actually a red version that's true sneak and show, they could have like abrades and stuff on the sideboard, but we still have invigorates to be able to protect our stuff. And I guess let's try that. All right, what do we got here? If we had an infector, this would be absolutely fantastic, but we don't. So I think we got a mulligan this one. I like the Flusterstorm. Against my better judgment, we're going to keep this on the strength of Brainstorm being able to find us a threat and Daze and Flusterstorm for protection. And we will start out with Tropical Island into Noble Hierarch. Tropical Island from the opponent. Okay, so it looks like it's Moni-Tell into a Ponder. It's unlikely that they have red removal, so the removal is going to be bounce-based stuff. And they're definitely a version that's going to have Omniscience if they're playing green. And they did not shuffle off of the Ponder. We are going to start out with a Brainstorm, see if we can find an Infector. I like Tifa. Tifa's very good. Put back... How do I want to do this? I think I put back Verdant Hedge Maze, play a Noble Hierarch. I think I did that wrong now that I think about it. But we're going to hope that this Daze can get us there, or we fade another turn so we can play Tifa and hold up Flusterstorm. Brainstorm from the opponent, Misty Rainforest, passing the turn. Okay. We are going to start off with playing Tifa. If this gets countered, then we will mill over the land. Alright, did not get countered. We will go ahead and surveil. Now we want to keep the land on top. Pass the turn. Hold up Flusterstorm and Daze. And opponent fetches for Hedge Maze. Okay. And bend a Ponder. I'm being graced by Cosmo now. Ancient Tomb. Okay. Alright, they're going to show and tell. We are going to Daze just to up the storm count. Bounce Tropical Island back to hand. They can pay for it, that's fine. This is just to increase the storm count. Veil of Summer, okay. That increases the storm count even more. Flusterstorm targeting show and tell. Same targets. Actually, we're gonna point one of these at Veil of Summer just so they don't draw. I just don't want them to draw a card off of this, so we are throwing one of them at the Veil. Alright, and they pass the turn. So the question becomes is this enough to be able to kill them? I don't think so, but over the course of 2 turns it might be. So if we invigorate here, she goes up to 5. No, that should be enough, because it'll be up to 5. They go to 20. Play Verdant 10, crack Verdant 20. So this should be lethal if they don't have a counterspell for this. And they didn't have one to fight over the last one. Move to combat. Get the triggers to put her up to 12. Okay, cool. Yeah, the math works. We were about to hit him for 24 damage right there. So Tifa taking down Show and Tell onto the final game. And I think we just run it back. Okay, we got a threat. We got protection. We just need pump spells. We're going to keep this. Opponent kept on 7 as well. Tropical Island from the opponent. Followed by Ponder. Shuffled their library. Okay, that's good. And a Lotus Petal. Okay. Into a Carpet of Flowers. Okay, so we're going to start by playing around that, by just playing the Forest into Noble Hierarch. Pendelhaven, okay. More lands that produce mana that do not trigger Carpet of Flowers. And we still have Force of Will if we need it. Misty Rainforest from the opponent, and a pass, okay. An opponent ships the turn. Another Noble Hierarch, okay, so we're going to play Pendelhaven. We are going to play Tifa. Getting a fetch from the opponent, so do they have a counterspell? Hedge Maze, maybe they're just looking for something. Bend a Spell Pierce, okay. Okay, they care enough about this that they want to try to counter it. We have threats, so I think we're going to let Tifa go. They also pitched a show and tell for that. And we're going to get in with the Hierarch and kind of just go for Hierarch beatdowns at this point, because we have another one. And I want to save this Force of Will for their payoff and try to play around this Carpet of Flowers for as long as possible. Because we still have all of the colors we need between the Hierarchs and everything. Alright, opponent's Brainstorming. Misty Rainforest. And they're not cracking it yet. Doing a very good job of playing around this Carpet of Flowers here. Into an Invigorate. Okay, I like that. Because that can turn Noble Hierarch into a real threat. And we're going to swing in for 2. Down to 15. And pass the turn. Cracking their Misty. Into just a basic island. Okay. Must mean they only have one hedge maze in the deck. I'm gonna go ahead and just always yield to this after the next one. Because I'm gonna try to play around it for as much as possible. Uro. Okay. So that is something we're gonna have to worry about later, and it does undo, like, two of these Noble Hierarch attacks. Alright, they didn't put a land into play. We can F6 for the rest of the turn. We can always counter the Uro when they try to play it out of the graveyard, assuming they hit another land. A Misty. Okay. And then we will just get in for 2. Back down to 15. Like I said, we actually might daze the Uro. Ancient Tomb. That does not cast Uro. Into Alorian Revealed. I think we're going to go ahead and daze that. Alright. And we theoretically could play a Tropical Island to be able to hold up hardcast Force of Will. However, that does start feeding them stuff. Or we draw a Tifa. And I think I'm okay with playing Tifa out here. And we just kind of hope that we can get there. Just do as much damage as we can to them. And then if we absolutely have to, like... I mean, if they find what they need to, they can get their Uro back, and we're just going to have to try to attack through it. Alright, they're brainstorming. And they scoop it up! Okay, taking down Show and Tell. I'll dress it all in the wrap-up. So I'm going to admit, when I kind of put this deck together, I honestly thought I was just making a objectively worse Infect deck by swapping out one of the Infectors for Tifa to be able to do normal damage, but Tifa blew me away. She was an all-star in this deck, fit into the gameplay style perfectly, and being able to threaten both Infect and regular damage one-shot kills actually felt huge because it made your opponent think about so much more than a traditional Infect deck where they're typically playing pretty fast and loose with their life total, because ultimately that's not how we're going to win. But if they see that we're an Infect deck and then they start kind of like recklessly fetching or dismembering or reanimating or whatever it is to drop their life total, you can then slam a Tifa that's only like, oh, I'm dead if they hit a land drop sort of thing. So being able to attack on multiple axes thanks to both Blighted Agent, Inkmoth Nexus, and Tifa, she just absolutely blew me out of the water as far as how well she actually fit into this deck. Do I think she should be a part of the core Infect decks going forward? Honestly, I don't know. I was really impressed, and honestly, if I were to stick with Infect and keep working on it, I probably would keep her in the deck. Maybe we need to tune the numbers a little bit. The fact that she's legendary does mean multiple copies is a bit wonky, but with a deck like this that is so tight on threats, I feel like 4 is where you want to be. These decks need 12 threats of some sort, but maybe you have a split between Glistener Elf and Tifa, and that's correct. But it's going to take some more testing. But I definitely think Tifa actually is a huge addition to this deck. As I said, I was absolutely blown away by how well she played. And then I was actually kind of blown away by how well this deck just functioned in general. I mean, granted, we didn't run into the menace of the format while we were playing today, so I don't know how it fares up against the blue tempo decks. We did see a lot of combo and some kind of like mid-range combo hybrids, but she felt really good, and the deck overall actually felt really tight, really well constructed for the most part. I was a little iffy on the crop rotations. As you saw, I boarded them out a few times because they're always a risk up against blue counterspell decks. But the line we saw where we were able to Inkmoth or crop rotation away our Inkmoth Nexus to go find another one to essentially save it from the removal spell was actually relevant. And I do think if we're going to lean into the Tifa plan, having more ways to ensure that we hit landfall when we've only got 19 lands is something you do need to consider. But I think this is a great starting place for this deck. It was a ton of fun to play. It reminded me why I do love the Infect archetype so much. Making me really want to keep tuning this deck and try it out, but we'll see if the rest of the community agrees. If we start seeing Tifa popping up in these Infect decks when they start putting up results, so time will tell. But overall, this deck was an absolute blast to play. It blew me out of the water as far as how well Tifa slotted into the deck and how easily we were able to swing for 20 plus damage with her as early as turn 3. So I'm going to call this a success, a great starting point. Definitely something to consider if you want to play Infect or if you want to brew with it. But anyways, Thank you all for watching. I hope you had as much fun playing, or as much fun watching as I did playing. I will catch you on the next one. And as always, stay salty. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. There are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that, go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.